What's up, everybody? It's Old Man Winter 8 for Sun and Ski Sports, and we're going to find out if the Ride Shadowban is a wise buy for you. So the Shadowban really is one of the most versatile boards in Ride's lineup, and ever since it came out, it's definitely been one of their best selling and most loved boards. So when we're looking at the shape on this thing, it does look twin, but it is a directional twin. So we've got just a little bit more nose and a setback of 3/4 of an inch. So you do get a little bit more of that advantage when you are riding in one direction, but you can move the bindings forward just a tiny bit to make it feel like a twin tip board. And then when we go to the bend on this thing, it is a camber through the middle with a little bit of rocker up in the nose and tail. That's another thing that does make this thing a little bit more of a directional twin. It does have a little bit more rocker in the nose than it does in the tail, but you are getting that power exactly where you want it through the middle of the board and that extra stability, but you are getting that nice, easy, catch-free feel, a little bit more in the nose for a little bit more float, and also very, very smooth transitions from edge to edge. You're not getting a board that wants to jump on edge when you are just trying to ride it flat. When we go inside of the board, we're looking at their pre-cured glass, which is a pretty cool thing. It's basically glass that has been stretched and loaded up before it was even put into the board. This just means that when the board is sitting here and there's no weight on it, it actually wants to go somewhere. So naturally, when you get out on it, you stand on it, you load that camber up, especially when you're sending it in and out of carves and you're loaded up to pop it off of jumps and just ollie it off of the snow, you're getting a little bit more of that spring pop and power without having to add a ton of extra stuff inside of the board. But then when we're talking about adding stuff to the board, it does have their carbon array 3. And that basically is 3 strips of carbon that are going from here out towards the contact points on your board. This is doing a couple different things. One, by having it go through your bindings and having it be on a little bit on the inside and on the outside of your bindings, it is adding spring and pop. When you go to load this thing up, you are loading that carbon up right outside of your bindings. But also it's adding stability, because when you do land, and let's say you're a little bit heavy on the front or heavy on the back, instead of the board flexing and washing out, that carbon is going to want to set it back to that centered stance position, so the board isn't going to feel like it's going to want to fly out from underneath you if you are off a little bit on your landings. And then having it go from your bindings out towards those contact points is also taking pressure from your bindings and not only pushing it up towards your contact point, but it also is pushing it a little bit more towards the middle of the board. So it is helping to more evenly push that pressure from your bindings out over a much greater area. So you're getting a little bit better edge hold the harder you lay into your carves. And as if that wasn't enough, it does have their impact plates underneath the bindings, giving it even more sturdy feel and taking your bindings from something that's just a little bit bigger than your foot and actually making them feel like they're a little bit wider, which again, adding to the spring and adding to the stability. And as we start going around the board towards the base, we are going to notice that it has their slime wall, which is a sidewall that's made out of urethane. That urethane is basically a softer material than a standard ABS sidewall. So if you do hit something a little bit harder, like a box or a rail or even a rock, it's going to help that edge give a little bit so it's not going to crack. And then it also helps to reduce vibration along the entire length of the board. So when you do get into some harder, icier conditions, the board's not going to want to chatter and break loose. It's really going to help set down in and hold a much better edge than having a plastic sidewall. And then when we whip around to the bottom of this thing, it does have their sintered base. So it is not only a durable base, but it also is fast. But is the Ride Shadowban a wise buy for you? Well, this is definitely for those intermediate riders and even getting up into some of those advanced riders who want a one board quiver that can ride the entire mountain, park to pow and everywhere in between. This really actually came from one of their most popular boards, the Algorithm, which is just a high-end all mountain, go anywhere, do anything board. But a lot of people said the Algorithm is a little much. We don't want a board that's super, super aggressive. We want something a little bit more user-friendly, and that's what this is. Same shape, just different ingredients to give it a little bit softer flex and a little bit smoother ride, but we're still getting that extra pop and power from that carbon and those impact plates. And it really truly does make it an insanely versatile board. And if you are somebody that's looking at the Ride lineup and you're saying to myself, I want a good all mountain board, I don't know what board to get, just get this one and you're not gonna be bummed. But if you got any questions about anything we talked about in the video, definitely leave some comments down below. Also make sure to like, subscribe to the Sun and Ski YouTube channel, and make sure to head on into your local Sun and Ski so you can check out the Ride Shadowban for yourself. But if you don't have one nearby, no problem. You can always look them up at sunandski.com.